Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching Jermaine Morgan TV. This is Jermaine Morgan. Today, I got my good friend, Mr. Modre, bass player extraordinaire, here sitting in with me today. And it's definitely a pleasure to have him. So we're going to jam out for a little bit, and we're going to talk about some bass and some key bass today. So y'all stay tuned. say, man, it's been about at least 9 years ago.
Yeah, 8, 9 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and I remember you had just moved down. And I don't remember who you were playing with then. You played with everybody since I've been here. Just let the people know some of the artists you've worked with over the years and who you kind of currently working with, that kind of thing.
Word. Yeah, well, I think my first gig when I got out here was I did Dietrich Haddon. I was actually Ant Parachute we had on the show. He called me for that to fill in. So that was like my first getting my feet wet. But after that, I did like a bunch of love and hip hop stuff. I did a bunch of tapings for that. I've done TLC, Flow Rider, The Dream. And more recently, did a Today Show with Jennifer Lopez in August.
Okay.
And then more recently, Jadena, signed to Jadena Monet, Jadena, and a girl named Ruth B. I've been playing with them too, more recently.
Okay, and you're currently touring with them?
Yeah, currently touring. We're getting ready to start our stateside tour in top of June.
Nice. So obviously you can catch this guy with any and everybody at any point. I will put his contact information down in the link below so you can kind of connect with him if you're not already connected with him. I know some of you already might recognize him from TV and his appearances that he's done so far. But man, the cool thing about this dude is one of the most humble cats I ever met. And me and you actually have a mutual friend, I think, in New York. And so and that's once I talked to him, I found out, okay, yeah, I know him too, man. Real cool dude, man. But from what I heard, you started from pretty humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, growing up kind of church kid, everybody in my family sang and played to some extent. I'm probably the second generation that really is taking music seriously. So my aunt, my mom's sister, my Aunt Yvonne, she plays bass, keys, drums, and everything. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I used to sneak in her room when she'd leave out for choir rehearsal to get on the instruments and mess with the settings on her keyboard, break her drumsticks. Just because I really wanted to be in there, man. I wanted to be in the music. So kind of as I grew up, I, of course, playing in church and stuff like that. But then also in school, I was involved in choir. I started my own gospel choir when I was in high school. I had a marching band. Yeah, because it was just the school that I went to, upstate New York. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for kids that didn't read music or that come from church background, stuff like that. And I was fortunate enough to have through middle school music programs and stuff like that to understand music theory a decent amount. So I wanted to create some opportunities for some of the other kids that might not, they couldn't read, or maybe they never took a lesson, but they can sing in their church choir, they can play instruments. So that's kind of where it started for me in high school, kind of just starting up different programs and different things for my friends because we all wanted to play music. Fast forward from that, ended up picking up bass my senior year in high school, and ended up playing the Apollo with some buddies of mine. The Hamilton Hill Steel Drum Band was the name of the band. Okay. And from there, ended up going to Boston. I was a recipient of the presidential scholarship from Berkeley. Nice. 1 of 7 from across the world, so it was super humbling.
That's an honor, man.
Oh man, yeah, I don't take it for granted, man. But that was definitely that's kind of where the change happened, man. After high school, just being involved in so much, and I knew I'd always wanted to go to Berkeley, and be in Boston. But when that opportunity came, man, life as I knew it changed, and that's kind of where everything kind of kicked off, and building relationships with a lot of the same cats we talked about, Buddy, some of those Berkeley cats that are doing really, really dope things. So that's kind of weird.
Man, that's really dope. Now, you mentioned something, and I know you studied Berkeley, so you already know how to read, but this is something that comes up a good bit. How much has being able to read or not being able to read affected your career as a working basis? Because you've been working, you and that Paris, I call y'all two of the hardest working bass players around my age.
That dude
in Atlanta. So just kind of elaborate on that, how much or if any has that affected your career, being just reading that whole piece.
Well, to be honest, man, it's nowadays it's not a whole lot of gigs that really call for in mainstream pop and hip hop. You don't get a lot of gigs that they'll be they're gonna give you sheet music. But I've always felt like it's better to have than to not have and need. So I'm definitely an advocate for understanding and having a general knowledge of it, because I have gotten calls for theater gigs or doing pit stuff for plays, and I mean that stuff you gotta at least you gotta know the basics. So I definitely am an advocate for it. I mean, I'm a little rusty. It's been a while. I don't use it as often as I used to, but to have that knowledge has been super, super helpful. And even if it's not necessarily reading lead sheets per se, but at least chord theory knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And that helps. And you notice as a bass player, it helps when you go into situations where you got to learn the gig at the last minute. And I'm not afraid to say this, and I'll share this with anybody. I'm an advocate for making your own charts. Even if it's just like numbers, what I mean, or whatever.
I live by that.
You too, right? Because that's the thing, and it's funny. I had one guy say to me one time, he was like, "Man, you're a pro. What you need charts for?" It's like, dude, you know how many songs I know I've had to play? Not even in life, but just in this past week and a half, from church gigs to bar gigs. So it's to be able to have some sort of a system that works for you, even on these major gigs, because I still do it. Like when an artist calls me or a client calls and they're like, we're doing a show and it's an hour-long set. I take into consideration before I even start shedding and stuff. I listen to the music. Absolutely. And I chart everything out. I do, basic, whether it's just knowing the format and then, what I said, like it's numbers or chord changes and stuff. So, yes, the knowledge and the understanding of theory is so important, man. Absolutely. Whether you're reading music or not, because it helps you communicate with other musicians.
Absolutely, I agree. I totally agree with that, and that's something the people that follow me know I do the lessons, and I get questions about charts or the sheet music or tab, even tab, and that kind of thing, and that's cool. But one of my biggest things that I like to focus on is the ear training part of it, because I think at the end of the day, whether you learn every lick I show you, if you're not getting it and you're not understanding it, it's just like reading one piece of music, now going to another piece of music. You don't know how to apply it from one piece of music to the next.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas cats like us or most church cats that grew up, and this isn't by no means knocking people that read, because I do have to know how to do that myself. But for the people who have to learn all this music and internalize all of this music, you're able to pull from each one of these songs, and I can pull this lick, and I get a lot of people ask me, well, where do you get these solo ideas? It's a combination of listening to a lot of music, pulling from a lot of music, memorizing this music, memorizing the licks and the lines, and it even helps you in creating, because you're always pulling from some places. Like they said, there's nothing new under the sun. And so if you can learn how to internalize this stuff and being able to express it on your instrument, that helps you out more in the long run. But that's good insight that you're talking about as far as reading and how it's not being required as much mainstream probably as it was back in the day.
Right.
Now there are some studio sessions. I know you do a lot of studio work as well, but most of my stuff, just like you, I have to chart and have some type of knowledge of kind of knowing where the song is going, because a lot of times we don't get the music before we go in the studio, and you might have to record like 9 songs or something like that, and so you ain't got time to remember anything. So you better have some kind of system, some kind of formula, so you can kind of jot down, okay, this is what I'm going to do here, this is where the song is going, that kind of thing. But yeah, man, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, since we're here, we have you on key bass, and I noticed a lot of bass players in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years have started playing key bass. A lot more you seeing it kind of take off with the bass playing community. How, first of all, you play keys first?
Yeah, decently. I started playing in high school because my gospel choir, we didn't have a keyboard player, so I had to figure out. I had to figure it out.
So you had basic knowledge.
Yeah, basic chord knowledge, and
Yeah, that's the same thing with me. I mean, I play keys a little, not professionally. I play enough to produce. I can get you through a good choir rehearsal.
Right. Hold it down.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But the biggest thing is really, if you're not playing keys, what's a good way if you're a bass player and you want to kind of get into this? I'm gonna ask you several questions, but if you want to kind of get into this key bass thing, I do it. But I don't specialize in key bass. I can play, but that ain't something that I let everybody know. But for you that's doing it on the road with all these different artists, if you want to get into it, what's the first thing you would say bass players need to be really learning as far as getting into the key bass thing?
First thing,
or learning how to play keys.
Well, I mean, that's the basics of it, man. Because what's funny is I learned keys on accident, because as much as I was around it and I wanted to learn, it was I didn't have any lessons. So for me, when I started, I heard the bass lines first.
Okay.
And I knew that was the foundation, even before I was playing bass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So in realizing that, the notes that I was hearing in the bass line okay, so wait, there's chords that go along with this. You know what I mean? And kind of understanding. So when it comes to like approaching a gig or understanding, how to play key bass on a gig, I don't just think about the bass notes. I think about everything else that's going on. I think about the chord changes, because there's little, leading notes and stuff like that will work or won't work, depending on what's going on.
It's good to have basic knowledge of chord structure.
Basic chord structure. That's the first thing. Because before that, I mean, I could say, like, I could hear the bass notes, and I could, because I was, I could hear them, but it wasn't until I actually understood, kind of what was happening in the song. So that was the first thing. So first thing I say is, start with just understanding, scales, knowing what notes are. And I mean, I don't like to say that there's rules, because there's really no rules in music. Yeah. But at least so that based on the gig you're playing and who you're playing with, you understand what notes are available. So chord theory is the first thing. The second thing that I did was study the greats, man. Like, there are so many cats that really like made this key bass thing a thing. You got cats like Greg Fillinganes and who else is out there that's freaking blazing? What's his name? Buddy from
Buddy
Texas.
Strong?
Buddy from Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Buddy Sparks?
Bobby Sparks.
Bobby Sparks.
Bobby Sparks. Yeah.
Sorry, Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby. Yeah, Buddy, you're killing too. But no, cats like Bobby Sparks. I mean, then there's so many guys. Jay Deal is another guy. Absolutely. Justin Raines is an amazing.
And we can't forget about Daryl.
Daryl Freeman.
I think Daryl really kind of put a lot of us back on the Marvin Sapp record.
Oh man, dude!
Back a few years, I can't remember what the name
was.
Was
that the one with
One Thing?
Yeah.
That's when everybody wanted to play key bass. All the young bass players trying to pick up key bass now, because they heard that song.
Yeah, dude, I brought my MIDI board to church because of that. Daryl, just so you know, like I didn't even have. I think I had like GarageBand or like maybe Reasons or something. So I didn't have like a key bass rig, but I would bring my MIDI board to church every Sunday just because I wanted, it was something about it, man, especially for the gospel cats, because like, key bass isn't necessarily something that you see in church a lot, but it was cool that he was able to bring that kind of into the realm, because like I said, even musically, you listen to a lot of these gospel records, and a lot of them pull from a lot of the old R&B and soul stuff.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and those were the sounds, you listen to the old, any of those old Janet Jackson records and stuff, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they were playing a lot of really dope synths, whether it was like, something like a Korg MS or like a Moog Voyager or like, and there's so many really dope boards out there, that have been used, but yeah, man, it became a staple, in that, like, that whole 80s vibe.
Absolutely.
So,
because it moved for a minute, away from electric bass, and everything just went kind of synth for a minute.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you go about finding the right sounds? Because I know with the switch, a lot of bass players, you're going to either... A lot of cats is just going straight Casio, slap bass, that kind of thing. But like, if you're switching to key bass, I'm pretty sure the idea is not to try to sound like the electric bass.
No.
So how do you go about finding the right sounds? Like, what's your formula that you use to kind of go about finding the right sounds?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is most important to realize that it's about the gig and it's about the record. You know what I mean? Whoever, if you're playing for an artist, you're on tour, or even if you're in church, whatever it is, you want it to sound as authentic as possible. So,
absolutely.
With that being the case, I personally have my go-to boards that I use because I know that they have some really cool presets that will kind of, work for what I need. So like, like with Jadena, like some of his certain songs that he has have certain elements. Like there's, what song I think we do? Bambi is heavily 808. So it's like, you hear those low tones?
Yeah.
But then you got songs like, Scowl some kind of way that are more like synthy. So you really want to listen and study the records. Like I'm just big on trying to get it as close as possible, because at the end of the day, you're playing festivals, you're playing TV shows. They want to hear the record
exactly
first.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I guess it's just what I would say is, having a general knowledge of most boards, like standard, you can say, the Moog Voyager has kind of become like, it's kind of the standard. It's been standard for a long time. Mm-hmm. But then there's newer boards. Korg makes this MS-2000 that has some really cool presets in it. Okay. And then also you have boards like, I'm trying to think what, I used to have a Little Fatty is also made by Moog. They have some really cool presets. But then, in some cases, you get situations where you kind of have to last minute. You kind of have to be able to tweak sounds and understanding like what the cutoff is, and, just different features on the board, the release, so you can have a little more, where your 808 might be a little shorter, like, like this. But if you bring the release, open it up a little more. And the hip hop stuff, that's a lot of that is. It's a lot of sustained low notes. So it's patches, man. It's understanding what the record needs. And then when it comes to like writing records, I mean, writing songs, that's all personal. You know what I mean? Okay. But the biggest thing is just finding the boards that have what you need. And I go to Guitar Center. So now this is for all the cats that like to go to Guitar Center and shed. That's dope. That's wonderful. But utilize that time also as a way for you to learn gear. That was a big thing I did in college and in high school. I would go not just to like play whatever the dopest basses or like keyboards were, but to also understand how to use them joints. Because then I'd go on the gig and I'd be like, oh, I've used this before last week when I was at Guitar Center shedding for an hour and a half. So it helps, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I know that information. I think you're the first, I know for a fact you're the first key bass player I done had on the show, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get another request for that pretty soon. Mm-hmm. But I know that information will be helpful, and if y'all miss something, just rewind it back and go back and see what he said again. But yeah, definitely, man, I admire what you're doing. I think it's great, man. I'm following you on Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff, seeing all the artists and stuff you're playing for, and I'm rooting you on, man. I think that's really, really great stuff. Now, the last thing, what would you say to people who are trying to be a professional? Not necessarily trying to do exactly what you're doing, but trying to be a professional in general. What word of advice would you give to young and up-and-coming players, or even more mature and up-and-coming players out there?
It's funny because this doesn't have anything to do with music, but the first thing I would say is your talent will get you the gig, but your character will keep you on the gig.
Yes, sir.
I can't really say it enough. I mean, I have homies of mine they're really good musicians, but they may not be virtuosos in some people's eyes, but they're some of the most easy people to work with. They're on time, they're reliable, and they're just good guys. You know what I mean? Because you're out here, and sometimes you're on the road for 2, 3 months, 4 months, depending on what the gig is, and you're around people, and you want them to feel comfortable being around you.
Absolutely.
You want them to feel like they can trust you. So before anything else, I mean, the music learning and practicing is a given. I hope we all know that, but more than that is the character thing, man. That's what's going to keep you. So,
absolutely.
So that would be the one thing that I would probably say first.
Character. Now, what you say is image, because I know this is my last thing I'm going to ask. I noticed with the musician swag nowadays, everybody kind of got this whole image thing that they're trying. Now, is that necessary for the gig, or is that just people trying to...
Well, let me not say no, because it there's a time and place for it. Depending on what you want to do, you know what I mean, and what, your inspirations and your aspirations are, I don't know. It's like, because I know cats who are really, really dope bass players, and they don't wear all the jewelry, they don't dress up crazy, they just do what they do, and they've played on some of the biggest records ever. Yeah. But then at the same time, I also know cats who, like we talked about Justin. He was a big... I want to say he was one of those cats. Him and even Thaddeus Trebek were big on musician energy and swag. They like, for our generation, they like kind of set a huge standard for making the musician look cool. You know what I mean? So I will say that, being mindful and being able to adjust to the situation is always great, because and that's not saying you got to go get, a dread wig, or you got to you got to
hopefully not.
You know what I'm saying? Or you got to, what I'm saying, anything, or you got to get all types of piercings and stuff, but being able to adjust makes it so much easier, because a lot of times in popular mainstream music, it's about that look. You have an artist on stage and they have a creative director that has a certain vision in mind. So even just being open and being willing to adjust to whatever that is, you know, it helps.
Okay.
It definitely does, man. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I've been in situations where, you know, it was very typecast. The gig was super typecast. Like, I'd been on the gig for a long time, and then at the last minute they changed, and they want, you know, somebody that looks like this, or they want a Spanish kid that plays, you know, righty bass guitar on one foot, jumping up and down. You know, I'm just
random.
I'm so random, but no, I'm serious, bro. I've seen that. So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. And then also, I'll say this because I've always, you know, a lot of times as musicians, we get looked at as the help or the side guys.
Yeah.
You know, but if you look back at, you know, the old days and the bands that were before us, Gap Band, Earth, Wind and Fire, they were all stars, man. And not stars in the right of, you know, the hype of it all, but they were all looked at and appreciated for what they added to the situation.
Yeah.
And I think if us as musicians start to look at ourselves as more than just the side guys and own that. So that's in your presence, in how you present yourself, how you get on the airplane when you're headed to your gig. Instead of wearing flip-flops and sneakers, wear some nice boots. Because you never know who you're sitting next to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wear a button-up shirt, you know, or show up to your gig. Don't show up wearing a do-rag and fitted. Show up wearing, and this is no shade to anybody, but this is just one thing that I know for me has truly helped because I look at myself not just as a side guy, but I'm an artist as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're an artist, you know, so are you. So I think, you know, just taking yourself a little more serious, I don't think it'll hurt you.
Okay.
I don't think it'll make or break, but I don't think it'll hurt. It'll help if anything.
Okay. That's some good advice. That's definitely from a different perspective. Because like I said, I've seen you for years, and I always know you kind of always had an outgoing personality. Even you and Justin kind of remind me a lot of each other when y'all play. Both of y'all are real animated when you play and that kind of thing. And your look goes with it. So that kind of thing. So it's something. As funny as it is, it's something that doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
People don't, it's like you find out when you're getting fired from the gig kind of thing.
Oh. And then, there's no fair warning. Like, hold on, wait, I have a leather jacket in my closet. Let me go and grab it real quick. And it's honestly, it's not fair, man, because it's like, you know, everybody is I mean, the music is the music, man. So at the same time, I definitely, I don't believe that should ever be at the forefront. I mean, it's just as well as saying, like, you know, you think about these singers that are out here and, like, you know, of course, Status Quo has this new idea of what beautiful is when it comes to being a beautiful woman or being a star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, I don't feel like you have to change that in order to be who you are, man.
Yeah,
you know, being yourself in the music, being true, the lyrics, the playing, when it's real and it's authentic, that's what shines through. Yeah. And that's the priority, and that's what's important. So, you know, I you know, the aesthetic is cool, but, you know.
Well, what I like, and this is the last one. This is the last one for the bass players out there. What I do appreciate, my dude Dwayne Mono Neon.
Oh yeah.
Him and Bubby Lewis. I got so much respect for those guys because it's like they're them.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and every gig I've seen them do, it's like the artists accept their personality because we know they're gonna kill whatever set they're on. It doesn't matter what genre of music it is. They're both gonna kill whatever you know, stage. Those are just two people I kind of know.
They were the best. That was the best example, Dwayne. And
I mean they're unique. It's like Mono got his own. Is a brand now that's his own thing. Yeah. And I like the original. It kind of reminds me. Mono reminds me a lot of Bootsy Collins.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day because it was real elaborate, you know what I'm saying? But nobody else was doing it that I know of. Yeah. Nobody at the time was doing it, and that became a staple. When you think about Boosie, you think about that. You think about the look and everything,
glasses,
everything that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? So, and it gives you that really unique identity. And we know both of those guys are phenomenal players, and they bring so much to the table as it relates to their playing. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying all this. Being true to who you are. If you plain Jane, be plain Jane. If you're more whatever, but like keeping in mind what you said, it doesn't hurt to dress it up a bit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just every now and then, throw a little whatever it is.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Well, man, this is all the time we have for the show, and I appreciate you. You really shared some great nuggets today. I'm pretty sure that's some stuff that people can walk away with that's going to help them in their career, and I'm sure everybody out there appreciate it. If you do, please comment below, say thank you. Reach out to my dude. We'll put all the links and everything below so that you can stay connected with him, and we'll catch y'all on next week of Jermaine Morgan TV. Thank you for watching. We out.